Here's Phil and here's Steve. You might not have seen Steve in any of my videos before, so welcome, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good bit.
What are we going to see today then? We're here, I suppose, because there's the Spurn Point Military Railway, but the amount of stuff, the amount of ruins and war-related military things is just absolutely outstanding, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's mind-blowing.
I thought most of it were going to be further down, but we've just stood here now and it's just all over the place.
Come to places like this, Phil, and it's just a reminder of how powerful nature is and how powerful the sea is, isn't it? I mean, look at all this here, just overhanging here. So, this village that we're at here, Kilnsea, this coast is eroding so much that the original village is all the way over here. And this military railway we've come to see today starts pretty much where just beyond where the shoreline is now, where the water's lapping in just there. Look at all these. I mean, look, you can see, was that like a gun?
Just like a concrete graveyard, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the pillbox sticking up.
Yeah, that does look like one, yeah.
Well, the ground that these were sat on, this is why this is here, isn't it?
Yeah, so this beach is changing shape, basically, effectively, every 5 or 10 years, isn't it? And everything that's in its way just falls down and it just stays there.
Well, the old kind of, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like an expert here, but that's the reason why Spurn Head exists, isn't it? Because the whole of this coast has been eroded away and it's all been pushed outwards to where it meets the Humber. The Humber's just over the other side, and that's why you've got this little bit of headland. We'll learn more about the railway as we make our way along the peninsula, but you'll notice here that this railway didn't connect to anything else railway related. There was no mainline connection to nearby Hull. The connection here was via boat at the line's southern end and the original railway pier. Its northern end was at what was the village of Kilnsea, the majority of which is now beneath the waves, including the end of the railway. We'll be following what remains of the road along Spurn, which itself has been washed away in many places.
Yeah, I think this is the last bit and it's gone.
Oh, is this the road?
Look.
Have we been walking on a road there then?
Yeah, it's just got sand on it, but it looks like this is where the last bit went and it's gone that way. Probably that's part of it there, look.
Of course, you might think, why is there no road over here? There was a road of some description on here that was put in, but because the geography of this place, the road's just been eroded away and the land's shifted over to the right hand side towards the Humber estuary, so that road's just been basically torn up. I mean, look at all the remains in the sea. Look, bits of concrete all the way down the sea. It's just incredible. Of course, where we're stood here, this has all been eroded. I'm going to keep repeating that, aren't I? This must be a geography teacher's dream, this place. Let's just have a look at some of this remain on the beach here. This is one of them places where you read about before you come, and you do your research or whatever, but nothing can prepare you for when you get here, and you're confronted by all this stuff. You think this is road as well then, Phil?
Yeah, I will say, well, I reckon so. Or is it structural? And it's fell off here, we're at an edge platform or something. But we did notice up there when we saw that cut-off bit, that does resemble that, don't it? Is this the base of the road here, look? Is that it? And a lot of it just fell down there. Look, it's just starting to curl.
The mounts for one of the guns.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I think this is, it's like what we saw out on the beach, isn't it?
Yeah, one there as well, look. So it's a definite circle, yeah.
So it's just a really, really spectacular walk, isn't it? And you see how far the lighthouse is away. So the land's completely disappeared on this bit. This little centre that's just eroding away even more, and there were some high tides a number of years ago that pretty much just got rid of this bit. And in decades to come, where we're walking today, it'll just be another island. It'll just be cut off, just like it used to be many, many years ago. It's looking back to where we've come. I've made some videos in some interesting places before, top of hills, some dark, unruly corners, but this is on another level. Now this has been a strategically important point for military purposes going back centuries, going back I think to the early 1800s, and that's going to underpin the majority of what we're going to see today. And I'll tell you now, I'm no historian, I'm no expert, I've never been here before. It's just a truly fascinating place, so a lot of what you're going to hear me today is stuff I'm learning. If you're looking for an expert's view, in depth, you know, this isn't the video for you, I'm afraid. There are videos that people who are able to do the historical accuracy a lot more. We're here for the explore. We're here for the explore of the old railway, of what little we can find of the old military railway, and some of the stuff that's left, you know, left around today.
Well, it's on, I think it's here, road was.
It's crazy to think that this was a road across this little bit 20 years ago.
But the road that exists up there has still been diverted, hasn't it, in two places. On there, they've moved it across. So
or nature's moved it across.
Well, no, you'll see old road that's probably ready for copping it, and then you'll see the new alignment. So that's what we keep seeing, it's them.
Right.
Now I get it.
Okay, we've been seeing these all the way down the beach. It looks like it was what was used on one of the roads. High tide shelter, let's hope we don't need it. So what's he saying, Phil, you think?
Yeah, that's the road level in my opinion.
An original road,
yeah,
because all that concrete we've just been looking at down there, and then this one that's been put in at a later date. Look at all the wreckage down there. Again, power of nature. Concrete, bricks, all sorts. So we might have to start talking about this military railway at some point, Phil, because we've not seen anything of it. A lot of it, as well, when we started right at the start, it was actually on the beach. It wasn't. It was all taken up when the railway was closed, apart from a few bits. So is it on this side?
Well, if this is definitely old road, but it looks like it's been you know, made a bit safer, and the line ran to the right hand side of it. So sooner or later, when we go down here, we've got to come across it.
We did know of a few remains of this railway that's still visible. Look, it's standard gauge. Sorry, I just mentioned that. I don't think I mentioned it. And here's the tracks. Look, still in the road here. The bits that crossed the road are the only bits of the railway I understand that's still in situ. And look, these are getting covered up by sand bit by bit. So you might be thinking, well, where's the rest of the railway? It's crazy. I mean, the land's moving, so you've got the road moving.
If that went to crossing point, it'll just go the same fate as the rest of this line here, look. It is there underneath, I think.
Yeah. Like I say, they did take the lines up that they could that wasn't embedded in concrete. I wonder how far that rail goes. You could bring a spade, Phil, and...
Yeah, I know, that's what always bugs me when it gets to this sort of situation.
So this railway opened in 1915, and the purpose of it was, and I've mentioned the term a few times, a military railway. It was 3.75 miles connecting Kilnsea, where we was at the start, with Spurn Point, which is where we're heading. Still looks agonising distance away at the moment. So the railway lasted until 1951, so it's lived through 2 world wars there, and it's played an important part in both of those wars. The old road.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's there now.
Wow, look at that. So the track was second-hand, it was repurposed. It was former Great Central or Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway track. And that road we've just seen going off the edge of the cliff there, look, is now back. Oh, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to a little stretch on concrete. As nice as walking on sand is, couldn't be doing 6 miles of walking on sand. Single track then, but there was 4 passing places on here. Wonder where those were. More railway remains. I think this is the bit that I've seen photos of where it's going across at this angle, and then you're like, well, where's it going? Look, there's nothing there, and it's just epitomises the erosion, doesn't it?
So it went up.
Yeah, well, that
Well,
was.
it's starting to curve, so it might be straight a bit here.
So is this corroded then? And as it here, it's.
It's starting to.
There's an information board here. Welcome to the Port War Signal Station. If you're into your old war stuff and you love the details and digging around for things, this place must be like Disneyland. You know, there's forts and all sorts on here, little cubby holes. There's rails again, look. There's a sign here that says engine shed. I'm sorry, you'd never even notice this. It's just so, it's just so cut off. It's just literally in the middle of an overgrown area. Okay.
Looks to me like there were 2 tracks going here, look.
All right, is there more rails over there? And Phil's has summed it up pretty well. I mean, obviously I'm interested in the railway and stuff. The military railway sounds fascinating, but it's a kind of side issue. It really is.
Look, there were switch points here, weren't there, look?
Switch points here.
And it's gone into 2, so maybe it was a 2-road engine shed, possibly.
Where's this? Oh, right, yeah. Okay. I mean, it doesn't really tell you any information other than it being an engine shed. But look, there's bricks over here, look. I mean, look at the, like, paving. Almost as though that was a wall.
Probably outer wall, isn't it?
You'd never find that. We've come across that.
We could have gone past that, you know.
Yeah. Yet more rails. I think I completely underestimated how much rail was left, to be honest. I thought there was maybe 1, 2.
So this is a new one. Put in there to replace.
So this was built in 1895, wasn't it, this one? And did it replace the smaller one that we're about to see behind us, the low light?
Yep, that weren't effective enough. So they put another one in, and by all accounts, they worked in unison somehow. I don't know how that works. Maybe something to do with flashing. I don't really know. But anyway, the old one were decommissioned, and it was turned into a water. They put a water tower on top of it. Yeah.
You can't see it, but it's just behind this banking here. And there's a view of the 2 lighthouses. Look, so the one on the left, it's called the Low Light, built in 1852. So it was later made into a water tower, which is what you can see on top there. Look, I suppose for Spurn Point, we've seen all the military stuff, but it was also where the lifeboat was stationed, and that lifeboat led to a whole community of people here. So we basically had a village of people that were basically mostly cut off from the rest of the world. Are we around?
This is where we live. They lived here. We're on it.
Okay.
This is it.
So this is where the houses and
row house with gardens, the road, and then a railway line going alongside it.
Is the railway line still coming past here then?
Yeah, it goes past the front gardens.
So how far up does the railway line actually go?
It goes just
Oh, of course it goes to
past the jetty, to the older jetty that's been knocked down now.
So what did we have? We had a school.
Chapel of some sort, weren't
Yeah.
they? And quite a row of houses, I know, half a dozen or so, and all the families that lived here are all working in connection with the lifeboat crews. So what lifeboat lot working here during the war or after, I wonder? Did they build them after?
Well, it says here, Phil, this marks the place where the lifeboat houses were built mid-1800s and they were demolished mid-1970s and replaced with the current houses further along Spurn.
Yeah,
okay, so there is still houses up there then. Okay.
That is. Oh, they're good at playing chess.
Big chessboard, yeah. Somebody's tiled floor. Seeing stuff like that just makes it real, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's about the only clue of civilization, this here, seeing everyday life markings to say people we're living here.
I mean, you read about stuff on this and you can watch videos and stuff. So when you come in, you walk all that way, there's desolation. To think that there's a community up here of people who lived self-sufficiently.
See, there's an old wall here, look. It looks like it's running on the front of everybody's homes maybe there.
Was it like some kind of sea defence or something like that? Yeah. Just noticed something here, look. Is this like a sluice gate or something?
Well, there's no water coming through, so it won't be a sluice gate. It just looks like I bet it was an old barrier for
Well, not sluice gate, but you know, like flood protection for the
Could
houses
be.
or something like that.
I'm wondering whether it used to have some gates on if this were a military installation.
Yeah, could
Was
be,
there
yeah.
a guardhouse here or something? Because it's kind of an angle, look. You can see how that one's been built skewed. It's definitely for something to go from there to there, look. There's slots both sides. I wonder if it were barriers that came down.
So where do you think the railway
I think
is?
the railway's run along here, but of course it's all been built on here.
Oh, hang on.
But what we got here, is that railway
Is
line?
that
So I've got it
rail
completely
down
wrong
there?
then. Oh, there you are, then I got it wrong.
So it was literally
So it's
running
there,
right
look.
by the houses.
Yeah, right in the front.
Yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. 2 tracks.
So where's the... Yeah, there, but that isn't there. They are. Yeah, fancy that.
So now we're at this end of the railway. There's a few quirky things, isn't there? There was that. What was it? A wagon with a sail on
Yeah.
that they used. There's some hilarious stories around that.
Yeah, some are a bit far-fetched, saying it could reach some ludicrous speeds, and I don't know if that's possible. I mean, how are they going to stop it?
Well, imagine with the wind, yeah. But what was the other thing as well? There was someone put kind of railway wheels on a sports car.
Oh, there's a picture of that online. Yes, that's right, an old-fashioned car. I can't identify it was steered. I don't know if you've seen it, but I don't know what it was, but yeah, they did, and they drove that up and down. That's quite quirky, isn't it?
So we've seen a few remains of the railway, the site of the engine shed, and we've mentioned a few quirky related railway things like the sail wagon and the sports car. We had a series of steam locomotive tank engines that were bought for the construction and the installations on Spurn. Incidentally, one of those engines, Lord Mayor, still survives today, based at Ingrow on the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway. In later years, transport on the railway was provided by a series of petrol-driven rail cars. Can you see in? That gives a little bit more context, doesn't it? I can't see the railway on there though, but there's the jetty, the original. Sorry, put the camera up when I'm showing you. There's the original jetty where the railway terminated.
So that's the old jetty, look, is it?
Well, this is the new jetty, but you talking about the photo.
So was that here?
No, that's the original lifeboat.
Right, and is that on the end of the jetty then, would it have been? Yeah. But it ran here and it stopped here, didn't it, at the old jetty? This is where stuff came in from the older jetty and got loaded on.
So where was the old jetty? It was somewhere just in front here, wasn't it?
No, this is like a little ridge look that's been built. Just spinning it in, isn't it?
I mean, there's plenty of remains. Look at all this here. If you know what any of this is, let us know. You know, help us piece this together. There's an old retaining wall up here as well. I mean, I think that's it for the remnants of the railway by the looks of things.
But look at this. Wonder what this was. Wonder what everything was. Christ.
Is there any information boards or any points or anything like that?
Wonder what that is there, look. Then where them blokes are stood with a gun sticking out of a concrete structure. Is this it? Because this is substantial, look.
Yeah. These would be magazines where you'd store your gun, the bullets.
There's buildings everywhere.
Here's a closer look at one of those gun fittings. That's what we saw on the way up, isn't it? But look at the amount of buildings here. Oh wow, we're right at literally at Land's End here, aren't we? So is this the gun emplacement?
Well, you've got to up the steps there, I guess.
Oh, there's a gun now. Again, it's another artwork.
Wow.
There's cubby holes everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah, that's quite hefty though, isn't it?
Wow, is this for...
Yeah.
So this gun was on rails?
Tramway.
A gun tramway.
Found a tramway.
Wow.
Yeah, this is definitely trying to...
Yeah, this were hefty gun if it's running on tramway.
Can you just, for a minute, imagine what it must be like working, you know, being on the front line when this was in operation? What an eerie place this must have been.
The foot crossing there, look.
Dark in the middle.
You pull it so the water barrel will come up there, and there's storage on the outside of this, and they're about that round that the bullets out of this. They're immense.
So, are you saying that the gun ran on these rails, or this had a... Did it have a trolley where the weapons were on there and you picked them off and put them in the gun? You know, this had a little trolley on it?
Well, no, because the gun would be mounted there, but it's that big that the
Yeah.
bit they put shells in would be on here, on the rail. So you just literally, wherever it stops, the next one would go in. Surely there's some sort of mechanism to pull them in, because they're not going to be light.
This is a bit low. What was this then? Oh. Like an underpass.
Yeah.
Are you going?
Yeah.
It's another like gun encasement, isn't it?
Why would they need that when you can just walk along there?
Look at the size of these doors here. Are these doors?
Yeah, but are they blast doors?
I think it's the side of the gun mount again, look. It's another gun mount.
Here's a little gift for today, gentlemen.
I wonder what it is.
That's to one side.
Well,
It's like Christmas.
the portions are noticeably smaller,
I thought that when I
but
was coming up, you know.
that's because there's three of us.
No, I just
Oh.
I saw it in shrunk.
Oh yeah, they're not that thick, are
Well,
they?
I've actually seen you eat an entire loaf of it.
Oh yeah, he cuts lengthways.
I do, yeah.
Animal.
If I got a butter, I just eat it in one wedge.
You know the worst bit about this though.
What, eating this sorry, or being
No, just being here is that we've walked 4.25 miles. It's now 4.25 miles back across mostly sand.
And then another 2 hours driving. Just stare at it and imagine the people running around here in the 30s, late 30s.
But it's so hard, not because the buildings look derelict, it's the foliage that puts you off what life could have been like here, because it's so hard to imagine this place looking pristine, which it would have been, because it was a military installation, you know.
All this brash and trees.
Oh, this wouldn't have been here.
It'd have been open. I mean, I'm assuming there'd have been something to try and disguise the buildings, though.
True.
But there's changing landscape of it. You don't know where the coast was then, or where, you know, can't even see it now, really, can we?
Is that the point there, look? It's got a beacon.
Yeah.
Look.
It's the kind of place you just come, you just can't, you're just going to answers for everything. I think to come here and know what everything is, well, you're not going to get there on your first visit, are you? You know.
No, because it keeps giving as well. You think you got to the end, and then suddenly there's another section.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going.
It is just overwhelming. It's probably the place, and I'm saying this a lot, good places, it's probably the place I've been where there's just so much to take in, and so much you can't explain, because it's not great. There's not a great deal of information, is it? And to be honest, maybe you always find out more when you get home, don't you? And you've been somewhere and you can say, yeah, that's that were that. But it's hard to come in here from doing your research before to then piece it together.
When you're researching and you're looking at photographs, you're looking at them and thinking, well, we're not going there. We'll probably not even know what that is. We won't see that. But then we get here and this might be available online to look at. We just didn't bother because we didn't think we'd find... Because this is right down the end, isn't it? We didn't think we'd probably walk this far down.
Well, we are literally the only three here in with for miles.
You haven't seen anybody for ages. There's them two people further up in a picnic, and that's it.
It's been roasting, hasn't it? Middle of March on the North Sea.
Eating saurian on a gun emplacement.
So thanks, hope you've enjoyed joining us filming today, Steve.
Yeah, it's been a really good adventure. I really enjoyed it. It's been
a good day out. Cheers as always, Phil.
Yeah.
It's been equally as confusing, I hope, for you as it has for me.
Yeah.
So thanks to everyone, thanks to all channel members, anyone who buys me a coffee and sends me a super thanks. So we'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra.
See ya.
See you later.